So thank you for having me. I'm going to tell you about Radio Ambulante and our efforts to engage the community of listeners and create basically an engaged community. If you don't know and you're not familiar with what we do, we are a Spanish language podcast production company, and I'm gonna focus today on our flagship podcast, which is Radio Ambulante. And so a few years ago, we launched Radio Ambulante 10 years ago and have always built, created this audience from zero, right? There were not many podcasts at the time and not many in Spanish. And we're looking and identifying every listener. And at some point, we realized that we were creating this content and launching this long form audio journalism. It was very crafty to produce. And we were growing our listenership, like the downloads were growing, but we didn't have the capacity to communicate with them. So at some point, we brought someone to the team in 2016 to help us like connect with them better. And at some point, we realized that people wanted it to really connect, and we launched the listening clubs. It was a way to open spaces for people to get together. And because Radio Ambulante's audience are UX Latinos or Latin Americans, um, it's hard just to create just I mean, location wise, we don't have just one city, right? We are all over the place because Latin Americans migrate, Latinos in the US also who come from different backgrounds and countries, and many generations that cross. So the listening clubs was a space that allow us to gather people together to talk in person about episodes. So one day we received this was on Twitter, and one of our listeners was describing this scene that probably you had like with some people at with your family, talking about anything, but they were like basically like cooking dinner and listening to Radio Ambulante. And we thought this was very compelling and sweet, basically, because it described what we wanted. I mean, the way we wanted people to connect to our content. And so what we wanted to do with the listening clubs was to create a space that was not super big, mostly a small group of people who could connect, get together, listen to an episode, and talk about it. And we launched this project called Clubes de Escucha in Spanish and listening clubs in English. This is a photo of the first experiences that we launched. We launched a pilot project in 20 different spaces around Latin America and the US, and try to keep these small groups like this, like up to 20 people, so people could really privilege the conversation and talk. No, and gave and prepared. Took a lot of time before launching this pilot, these pilots on creating materials to make this experience very personal. No, we understood, um, if you listen to podcasts, you understand that this is very intimate and personal, the experience of listening to a podcast. So we wanted to basically kind of preserve that personal experience, but share with others. And what we learned is amazing, because basically people were very much into wanting to talk and participate. Mostly these people never met before. So it was very interesting to see all the diversity of questions and points of views regarding every episode. Like one thing that we did so people didn't feel very awkward while listening to an episode for 40 minutes or an hour was to give like these coloring pages or like little books to take notes. And then at some point we launched this pilot with members of our team. So Radio Ambulante has like a team of 24 people. Most of us work remotely. I mean, the company is a remote team. It has always been a remote team because it's everybody is in Latin America or like Europe or the United States. So what we did to launch this pilot was to have members of our team, producers, sound designers, whoever was in different cities, to help us host the first ones, so we could learn and create more like tools for future participants to launch theirs. But and we love the experience. I think one thing that was surprising for ourselves was that at some point you just like are the organizer, but then you realize that you are part of this community, and it was amazing to just feel just like one member of the participants and not just the content creator, no. So we realized we start like understanding this group of this audience or this group of listeners as the community that we all want to belong to. And with that learning, we then created tools for people who could just take this project and organize themselves, because we can't host all these projects, all these listening clubs around the world. We create a list of resources. So everything that we learn, we just like centralize it on our website, created a special website for it. So for example, this is some of the resources that people that our listeners who want to host clubs find on our website. We have a handbook for moderators. So like, like not everybody's outspoken, or like sometimes people don't know how to connect. Maybe if the place has a lot of light, or it's just like very noisy, so we try to create like tips and tools for people to spark conversations, but not to just like own the conversation. No, it's just to start like breaking the ice. We created a code of conduct for everyone, no, or like like no harassment, no discrimination, all this kind of stuff. Gave a lot of worksheets so you can print depending on the story, depending on what we were doing, different episodes, all these kind or these tools. And then we had like this boom of podcasts. So it was a way to scale. We created this pilot. We learned, we created these resources, and then we gave tools for people around the world. Our community is global, to just do it themselves. And we had like at some point 75 simultaneous listening clubs around the world. The way it works is that we launch every episode of our podcast on Tuesdays. So these listening clubs were happening usually on Mondays. The previous Monday, they received the inedit episode and they could listen together. So it was kind of fun because they were the first to listen to. And we also like learned, this is a podcast club in Guatemala. So the balance was very positive. We had like 250, more than 250 listening clubs around 50 cities in the world. More than 3,000 people participated. And that was, this is like, for example, one in Panama. People host them at home, or people host them in like in different places, cafes. And then the pandemic hit. That was we piloted the project in 2019, and then people, but our listeners were so much into like connecting, and they have like kind of became very close to like participants or just connecting, and they were missing the listening club. So during the pandemic, people start like organizing them online. This is someone asking on our Facebook group that we have for our listeners if they could be adopted, and for Puerto Rico. So we had like this was the Mexico listening club. Like some people were on Zoom, some people were not in Mexico City, and this is the New York listening club that now like has people from everywhere. You see like people from Santiago, from California. So on that, I just want to close with some lessons that we learned. And because we're talking about membership, we have given Radio Ambulante's community a lot of spaces to communicate and to connect to our content among themselves, to listen. We have also Spanish learners, so also like to understand our content better. And I think this is just one of the, just to use the name of this conference, one of the pieces of the puzzle that we create to create the memberships. I think what we do is that we don't create the listener clubs to bring memberships. Just the fact that we give this to our community motivates our community to become part of our membership program. And I think it's just we just understand this as as some of the things that the Radio Ambulante are besides a Spanish language podcast. We understand this as like just what Radio Ambulante is, like spaces to connect, to participate, and also like you can not only assist to a listening club, you can also if you enjoy what this community is and means for you, you can also like become a member and support us financially. So thank you so much.